Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on.
Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry oaf! I don't care what you smell.
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirum, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Shuttle Tydirum podcast. I am your host, Hey Chadwick, also known as Jim Chadwick. I have my co-pilot, Phil, here.
Hey, guys.
He's also Baba Ganoush, the Junior Poobah of Mission Control.
Excuse me, Grand Pumbaa.
Grand Pumbaa. He's been promoted. Excellent.
I promoted myself.
Good job. We also have our chief engineer, who's from the engineering room, Jake.
That's right. Hello, everybody. You'll be happy to be informed that our hyperdrive motivator is working at 100%.
Excellent, excellent. And also serving drinks, we'll have our cranky protocol droid, Jonathan Pierce, also known as J-Bot.
Wait, what, J-Bot? Oh, we didn't agree to that. We did not agree to that.
I like it. All right, so this is episode 3, and we have actually just released episode 1 this past week on the eve of May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So we're actually kind of behind in things, and I know Jake, when he's not working on the computer to overhaul, he is editing with the EditPod to get us more episodes out. So we are working to get them out. We've been getting some good feedback, great feedback, and it's been really nice. Jonathan, you heard a few things. What have you heard so far?
Well, let me see. No one's told me how awesome I am yet, so I'm kind of disappointed. But I feel like I wasn't really featured as much in the first episode as really I should have.
Yeah, we'll know by episode 2 whether people like you or not, I imagine.
That's right. But in general, it does look like people are at least on board with the same kind of idea that we have, which is that casual X-Wing is really enjoyable. People do like it and want to hear that other people like it as well. And that's not, I guess that makes me inspired to continue talking about it and continue kind of showing our passion for it.
I've had a few people out there say, I thought I was the only one who felt this way. So I'm really glad because I feel like no one else is talking about it.
Yeah, there's literally, I thought there was like literally dozens of us out there, but there's actually maybe a couple hundred at least.
Either that or they clicked the wrong button.
Yeah, no, it's very possible. We'll see if they stuck around for episode 2.
Well, what we'll need to do is come up with a Facebook page so people can easily click and post. We also have a email address at theshuttletydirium@gmail.com. If you're having problems spelling it, just look at the podcast that you're listening to, and that should have a proper spelling. Also, I am on Twitter at HeyChadwick, so keeping it consistent, and the FFG forums. If anyone wants to get back to it, in touch with us about how we're doing, let us know. But for tonight, I want to kick things off with another Hey Chadwick question for you guys. So my question for you guys is, since we're still early, people need to know who we are. What's your favorite faction and why in X-Wing?
Nice.
Who wants to go first?
You go for it.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Hey, straight from the engineering room, I'm up for it. Favorite faction and why? Well, for me, it is and always has been and probably always will be the Imperials.
Oh, you're wrong.
I got to tell you that watching Star Wars back when I was a kid, I was absolutely enamored with the mechanical might and the absolute overwhelming numbers that the Imperial Navy had to offer, and it's translated all the way through my life up until X-Wing came out, and when I was actually able to be a part of that giant military force. So, when I started X-Wing with Phil, I immediately went Imperials, and I was just so happy to get my first couple of TIE fighters out of the core set and field them, and then later I got those elite, in my mind, the elite TIE Interceptors, and there's just something about it that seems so militaristic and mighty, and also too just from the kind of the lore aspect, it may not be the best quality of pilots out there. The Empire is all about numbers. I mean, the TIE fighter itself is just to be mass produced, not really to have the highest quality of systems. But even having said that, it's still a very fast ship, and it can run circles around some of these other starfighters.
Well, you know what I say? I say you got to support the troops.
Support the troops. That's what it's all about. So
independent of the politics, you got to support the troops.
That's what it's all about. I'm not taking sides in the election here. For Emperor Palpatine versus Vader. No. Or Mon Mothma. I'm just here for supporting the troops, and so that's my answer. I'm Imperials all the way.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm against the war or I'm for blowing up Alderaan or I just say the troops are out there for us, and we just got to support them.
I'm pretty sure you have to be hardline one way or the other, guys. That's it. You can't choose a middle ground. That's not possible.
You guys don't think the Death Star was an inside job?
We're going to get into a real big tangent here.
That's right. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I will say I've been listening to the audiobook of Star Wars. What is it? It's the Romeo and Juliet one. The star-crossed lovers, basically.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
Lost Star?
Yes, Lost Stars, and it's really good actually. It's about two cadets that go through the Imperial Academy together, and eventually they're supposed to split up. One goes Rebel, one goes Imperial, and one guy is a pilot stationed at the Death Star, and the other one's stationed on the ship that captures Princess Leia, basically.
Nice.
In the movie, and they just are getting together for the first month of the Academy. They're all kind of squealy about each other, and they blow up Alderaan, and so that just happened. And all the characters bugging out. And so just actually from reading it from two different perspectives and the different, mind games they talk about, it's really cool. I like it. My son really likes it too. He's 10. So that's what we do when we go to bed. We'll listen to the, audiobook.
Yeah, cool.
And in case anyone was curious, if I'm not mistaken, that Star Destroyer was the Devastator from A New Hope.
Actually, you're right.
Nice. I worked on the engines of that ship. That's why I know.
I did have at least one listener say that they really enjoyed us talking a bit about the background. And they would like to actually know more about, who maybe some of these pilots are and such. So we'll try to maybe work that in.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
All right, J-Bot.
Oh, my turn?
Yes, sir.
Well, if he hadn't stolen my answer, I'm going to have to choose another one just like last week. I'm just actually, I guess if we're looking at the whole IP, I'm
looking at X-Wing game.
Okay, just the X-Wing game. I'm a Rebel player. I'm a Rebel player.
Rebel.
I don't really have a very specific reason for it other than the first ships I was able to find were the Rebel ones, and I am a huge fan of the Hawk. Just the way it looks and everything else. So that kind of just became a de facto fan of the Rebels. For the whole IP, I tend to be a center of the road mercenary scum fan. So bounty hunters and mercenaries and that sort of thing tend to be my favorite for the whole IP. But for the game, it is definitely the Rebel side.
I know you really like Hawks, and as far as I know, you've never played Scum Hawks.
I have a few times. They're just a different dynamic, and I haven't had an opportunity to really delve deeper into the synergies between them and some of the other ships.
I think you'd like them. Most people tend to think that the Scumhawks are better. So, and they can take elicits, and they just mess with people more. And I think you might actually enjoy them more. So I've been kind of curious to see if you would ever play them.
Yeah, I'll have to spend some time looking at them, running my hawk mind over them to see what they can do and what I can finagle out of them, and like I said, a couple other ships just to see what I can do. But I tend to only get the 1 or 2 games a week, and we're doing missions and things now. So I know. I'm not really spending a lot of time I'm not a lot of time out in the chemistry set, working something up that's going to basically blow up in my face 9 times
We're
out
too
of
busy
10.
playing games, and we can't play games.
Yeah, I can't focus on playing the game if I'm playing the game so much.
I know. All right. My co-pilot.
So I'm also partial to the Rebels. There's a couple reasons why that is. I like the individuality that you can have with the ships. So I come from a Warhammer 40k background, and if anyone out there played Warhammer 40k, you know that you always got to paint your figurines.
Absolutely.
And
That's
that
right.
bug continues with X-Wing. I have to take a paintbrush to every X-Wing model I have, and I can be a lot more creative with the Rebel ships. So I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the Rebels have all the good aliens.
That's true.
I love that. Like when you're watching the movies, they have the Mon Calamarians, like Admiral Akbar's species.
The Imperials are very anti-alien.
Xenophobic.
Yeah, right.
I supported
Just
Palpatine
don't like those people.
when he said we're going to build a wall around Brylar and we're going to have the Twi'leks pay for it.
That's right.
I was totally for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. Except, what's funny is I came from Warhammer Fantasy background, which actually has more minis that you're required to paint. And actually, one of my degrees is a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting, and I hate to paint the minis. Like, I'm good at it, but I don't want to do it. So I'll leave it into. I'll go with the Empire. It's funny, when I first started back in Wave 1, I went to the interwebs and I looked in the forums, and everyone's like, oh, the Imperials are overpowered. And I guess it was because of TIE swarms. But, oh, the Empire is too much. Oh, the X-Wings can't take it. And I was like, gosh darn it, I'm going to pick the worst faction and kick everybody's butt with it. Because I'm stubborn, and that's the way I like to do things. And, I'm anti-meta. And then I started suckering my friends into the game. And I'm like, okay, so who do you want to play? They're like, I want to play the Rebels. Oh, okay.
Right.
Hey, you, what do you want to play? I want to play the Rebels. Okay, so I started playing Imperials all the time to sucker my friends in. And I got really good at it. I got really good at TIE fighters and different levels of TIE fighters and blocking and barrel rolling, and I just beat everybody all the time. So I was like, you know what? I'll stick with the Imperials.
There you go.
Well, I'll say that I've also branched into the Scum, and I really like Imperial and Scum, and those are the two I work with. And I'll play Rebels, and I'll try them out, but I guess I've never really been into the Rebels that much, When I do, I like to play T-65s. I like to play X-Wings, because that's just what the name of the freaking game is, X-Wings. So
he also does have a hat, so that kind of sways it pretty heavily.
I did buy a Imperial officer's cap that I found online, pretty cheap. So I was like, you know what, I'll wear that. I needed a new hat, and I thought I'll go ahead and buy it. So
needed a new hat.
Support the troops. All right. So let's see. After my question, we can roll into the news. So for those that don't know, May the 4th came out, and since it's International Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you. There was a news item. Everyone kept expecting it, and there's a news article called "These Are Your First Steps," announcing the Heroes of the Resistance expansion pack for X-Wing, and basically it is based on the Episode 7 movies. You get a new alternative Millennium Falcon with a different little sensor, the little rectangle one as opposed to the little circle one. And you get an alternate painted Poe Dameron black and orange T-70.
Right. With BB-8.
Oh, BB-8's like the little guy.
Yeah, it's
you
instead
can
of
see him on the figure.
Instead of a normal astromech, it's a BB unit.
Yeah, you can see him on the figure if you look really,
I
really
guess
close.
Tiny little white dot, which Phil will definitely paint a little bit of orange onto that.
Yeah.
You already got you kidding? I already have a Poe. Way ahead of you. And the BB-8 is correctly modeled on the back of it.
There you go.
So thank you very much. But
all right, so do we want to talk about, I guess what they did announce with this is that basically, so there's the different sculpts, and there's basically a new pilot who's Rey. And does anyone have Rey up, or should I go through and read what?
she can reroll, I think blanks or eyeballs. Let me see.
Blanks.
Blanks. She can reroll up to 2 blanks when she's attacking or defending against someone who is in her firing arc. So it's another one of those cards, sort of like in the spirit of Dengar, where they're trying to encourage you to keep people in your front arc with a large ship instead of like skirting around the edges of a battle.
And I like that because I played the days of Fat Han, where basically waves 2, 3, 4, and 5, where it was basically a Falcon with engine upgrade that would do the hard turn one direction. It would bait you to commit, and then do the hard turn one direction, and then boost the other, and get completely out of your arc and fire at you while you couldn't fire at them. And the entire rest of the game was you chasing Fat Han, where they boosted around your arcs and basically shot you to pieces. And it wasn't very fun. And so having, a new pilot, PS8 pilot, that has these abilities is a nice change, like Dengar. So it's just like, because at first, the large base turreted ship, yay. But this one's different, and I like it. It's a change.
Yeah, and there's a new Millennium Falcon title, which is essentially giving the ship a 3 Segner's loop maneuver. So it says when you execute a 3-speed bank maneuver, if you're not touching another ship and you're not stressed, then you can stress yourself and turn around to 180 degrees. So it's like a Segner's loop that you can decide to do on the spot, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
Yeah,
and that actually
I can see that one.
That works with
great with Ray. Yeah.
Yeah. And they also announced a crew card for what's his name? Finn, but did they actually release what he is?
No, we don't. We have no idea what Finn does. There's also Ray. You can see Ray right next to him.
Right. Oh, so Ray crew, yeah.
Yep. And let's see, what else do we have? We have Black 1 title, which lets you take an enemy target lock off of friendly ships, including maybe yourself, if you do a boost or a barrel roll action.
Which is basically expert handling.
Yeah, it's like a nicer expert handling. And then there's a bunch of cards that we mainly can't see, but we can tell that there's going to be a smuggler's compartment, which is probably going to let you put an illicit upgrade on a YT-1300, maybe also a YT-2400. And then there's also something next to it that looks like it's an illicit slot giving a slam action to YT-2400s and YT-1300s. Or maybe actually no, it's just
it says large
ship only.
Like.
Yeah, just large ship only. So giving a slam action that's pretty crazy, man. Because right now the only ships with slam are K-wings, and it's quite powerful on them. This is really going to open it up to a whole bunch of different ships.
And I like the idea of the Millennium Falcon having illicit. And to be honest, I would love to see both YTs actually as a scum faction, even with the same pilots, because Han Solo was a smuggler,
He would fit in the scum faction.
Yeah. And Dengar would as well. Though I've heard some people online saying, "Oh, well, I wouldn't want to see Boba Fett be stored, as a crew on the Millennium Falcon." But I don't know. You can just say it's an early version.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things that wouldn't make complete sense. I think a lot of these bounty hunters didn't like each other.
True.
Yeah, and you're crossing timelines a lot when you start getting into episodes.
You have Poe Dameron flying next to Biggs Darklighter. Come on.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
So there's not
get it right,
not much
FFG.
There. Yeah.
I guess there's also, other pilots that we can't see. Like there's a new generic. There's a different Chewbacca, but we don't know what he does. And there's other T-70 pilots that we don't know what they do.
Right. So there's going to be Jess Pava, Snap Wexley, and Nian Num. And it's hard to say what they're going to do. Snap Wexley has something to do with after you do a 4-speed maneuver something, but it's hard to say exactly what.
Now, Snap Wexley, he was in the movies, and if you didn't know, he was the guy with the dark hair and the beard. It was the other human, TIE fighter, X-Wing pilot, around the Rebel base or Resistance base that was kind of Poe Dameron's friend, the other human male. And I actually listened to the audiobook for Star Wars Aftermath, which gets very mixed reviews. And maybe I had the audiobook, maybe I was listening with a kid, but, I didn't think it was terrible. I think it was great. I think it was bad. It was just, an okay Star Wars story. Yeah. But it's part of a trilogy and has a kid where his mother is the Y-Wing pilot that enters the second Death Star and then peels off to let Lando blow it up. And then that kid is in this story, and he grows up to be that character in the movies. And I didn't catch that was the same person for a while. And so it was actually pretty cool for me to realize that. And I think people have called him the second Porkins because they consider him overweight. And I don't like to hear that because I like the actor,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of,
that's horrible. That flight suit has to add at least like 60 or 70 pounds.
Right.
We all know
And he's standing next to Poe Dameron.
Yeah,
no one looks good next to Poe Dameron.
Okay, and we're
just
gaming
not fair.
guys. And we're gaming guys. And while I'm not like huge, I'm a little bit overweight. And, I could stand to lose a few pounds, let's say. How are you gaming people out there, can't say the same thing or don't have some other, whatnot. So that actor, there's a local video podcaster, Sling Paint Games, and they do X-Wing, and they actually got like a tweet from the actor saying that they love the show, and that's awesome because I used to watch Alias, and he was in that, and I loved him in that, so I like the actor, and I kind of hate to see people call him the second Porkins because I don't think he's anywhere near as chubby, and I even like Porkins anyways. So
yeah, exactly.
That's right. Just remember, anytime you see Porkins on the table, just imagine he's got like a giant sandwich and a big gulp in his cockpit. That's the way I envision it the whole time, and it makes the game so much more fun.
I see.
I spilled my big gulp. It's on.
I can hold it. Oh, I lost my straw. Well, okay. What do you guys think overall about this expansion? Like, do you have any thoughts, opinions?
I'd say I think it looks interesting. If I didn't already have a Falcon, I'd be all over it. But my problem is I have a Falcon already, and I don't see a use for a second one. I'll be honest with you. I just don't see a reason I'd ever want a second one.
That's a good point. I mean, it's almost identical to the original Falcon model. And I hardly play my Falcon as is. I would probably buy this expansion. I'm obviously going to buy it because that's what I do. But I might think about trading away the minis for something or something like that.
Just so you could keep the cards, you mean?
Yeah, I would definitely want all the cards in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably not going to fly two Falcons.
True.
Yeah, I'm with J-Bot. I bought the Falcon in Wave 2 when it came out. And I lent it to a friend to fly once, and I used it for other people to use in the Dagobah Dave's trench run scenario. But I have never flown the Falcon in like a few years. It was such a meta thing that I just despised it for so long.
Right.
And just refused to play it. And it's like, oh, look, I should buy a second one?
Right.
I just, there's some nice upgrades in it. And if you play Rebels, it's pretty cool. And, I'm not against it. I'm not like, some people are just like, how could they even bother to do this when they haven't even fixed the T-65? My neck beard is bristling. And I'm just kind of like, look, you've got to think they freaking got pressure from Disney to do Episode 7 stuff. So, just lay off it, right?
Yeah. This was always going to happen.
Oh, it wasn't exactly what you wanted, boo freaking who. But
it does make sense. It does make sense that they've come out with it. It's more of a, if you're relatively new to the game and you haven't picked up a Falcon, to me, this is a go-to. It's a must-have if you're a Rebel player.
Yeah.
I really like the X-Wing in it. I mean, I like the crazy non-standard paint jobs.
Yeah.
And it does have a little, because it has BB-8 in there, it's very unique and flashy, but I just can't see spending the money to get another Falcon that's just going to collect dust.
Right. I mean, I am slightly on the side of Phil with this one. I do have a feeling I'm just going to get it regardless. It's a weakness of mine. I see a new shiny package, even though I have a gosh darn Falcon already. And I'm just going to say, hey, look, it's slightly different. It doesn't have the radar dish on top, you know? It looks neat, and Ray was in it. Yay! But yeah, I kind of like the ship, the Poe ship with the black and the orange, and obviously little BB-8 up top. I'll have Phil paint for me, so I think that'll be cool. And I'm excited to see what those other cards are. I mean, I like the crew cards. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah, I think the upgrades are pretty cool, and I'll say that there's only 2 ships so far that I have not purchased. One's the Phantom, and I'm just morally opposed to them. And
really, I've never heard that before.
Right. And the other is the Houndstooth, and I just
say it. It's an ugly ship. It's an ugly ship. Just say it. That's why I
just have no interest in it. I don't know. Bosk doesn't interest me, and it's just like, hey, look, another large-based ship. And
damn it, blasphemy! I love Bosk. Oh, I wish you hadn't said that.
I don't know. He's okay, but I don't really care for the large-based ships too much. The one exception was Dengar. I was really excited to see Dengar for odd reasons, but I just, I feel like this is an expansion that I just might skip, and I might get it. Maybe if I find myself flush with cash. Mm-hmm. It sometimes happens, even though I'm married with kids. Mm-hmm. But and I might get it, or maybe it's on sale or something. But I could see that this is not something I buy right away.
Right.
I'm kind of entering that zone where I'm just kind of like, you know what? I have a lot, and I haven't flown some ships. Like I've never flown my K-wing, and I'm trying to think what else I haven't flown. I think I've flown everything else, but some stuff not very much. So I'm just kind of like, I might skip this for a bit.
All right. So you'll skip seeing it in the theater, but you might get it on DVD.
Well, I would never skip a Star Wars movie in the theater, but this expansion pack, I would. Yes. All right. So I guess that's the news.
Good.
So we got going on, and it might be time for a new segment that I've been really excited about.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. Jim, do you have your kazoo ready?
Watch it, you've got one on your tail. Yes, I can hold it.
No. All right, B-Team. I've had this song stuck in my head for weeks, actually. In fact, tonight's game night, I just kept whistling it and humming it.
So I think JBot has a list for us, but to give you an idea of what this is going to be about, the B-Team segment is a recurring segment that we're going to have, that we're going to look at non-min-maxed lists. If Palp Aces and Triple Jump Masters are the A-Team, or the top tier lists, we're going to be looking at lists that don't belong in the top tier and are fun and weird and cool in different ways, and maybe they work pretty well, but maybe not top tier.
Right. Well, I can say that I know a few people that got into the game from other game systems, and X-Wing's not the only game they play, so they're not hardcore into it. They don't troll the forums. They don't look at all the latest upgrades, the news, and a lot of that. But they like X-Wing. It's a fun game. And when they build a list, they just kind of pick some things that sound fun. And they kind of get turned off when all they face against is hardcore tournament lists. And I've seen a few people that have been able to pull them back with casual games, and Heroes of Aturi Cluster. But I've seen people that, they don't want to get into all that. And so sometimes it's just fun to come up with like a concept or a, kind of neat, or those guys that you just never really use. Like, can anybody even name all the other TIE Interceptor pilots besides Suntirfel?
Yes.
So, So basically, like this is just kind of a B list and just kind of overall. And Jonathan J. Botts got a list. He's flown for a while.
Yeah, it doesn't have a fancy name unless Jim's given it one that I don't recall.
Hawks the Slayers.
Hawk the Slayer.
Or Hawks the Slayers.
Oh goodness. So I guess the kind of story behind this, where it came from, was I've mentioned before. When I first started, they only had a handful of ships available at the store. It was during a downtime in production. There were ship delays or something. I'm not really sure. But I love the look of the Hawk. Call me strange. I just have always loved the Hawk 290 kind of shape. It just felt like the type of spaceship I drew when I was like 4 years old, you know. And so I fell in love with it, even though back in those days it was just no one plays a Hawk. And that just gave me more of a like kind of inspiration. Like, I can make these Hawks good. I
totally get that.
Yeah, I can make these Hawks into killers. And so it started with one Hawk, and then the other random ships I had, and it just slowly evolved into what I'm holding in front of me right now, so that I can remember all the pieces. I don't know the best way to explain this, but I will just start by giving you the cards. I have Kyle Katarn. He's a pilot skill 6. Who at the start of the combat phase, you can move one of your focus tokens to another friendly ship in range 1 to 3. That's what he can do. I load him with the crew as a recon specialist, which lets you take 2 focus, or essentially an additional focus whenever you assign a focus or perform a focus, and then Moldy Crow, so he can keep his focus. And he is essentially like a focus bot. He just trails behind the crew, depending on how I'm flying them, and just builds focus. And I'll explain why later. I take a second Hawk, and that's Rourke, who's a pilot skill 4. And at the start of combat, he can basically choose another friendly ship within 1 to 3 and make it a pilot skill 12. So in other words, it gets the chance to fire first. So that's a big deal, obviously, against some of the lists that were coming out around that time. The Phantom list springs quickly to mind.
The Phantom.
Yeah. And the third one, I guess people have a name for it, but it's Corn Horn in the E-Wing, which I'm sure most people are vaguely familiar with, but is pilot skill 8, and his talent is that he can take a second shot during the end phase by giving up his shot in like the next in the next round, in the next turn. And he has pushed the limit in R2-D2. So essentially the concept behind this is, I forgot, the load on both of the Hawks is ion turrets. And Rourke has Jan ores, or I work for a Swedish company, so I'm used to saying Jan, which lets you ship within 1 to 3. When they receive a focus token, it can be turned into an evade. Okay, so here's the idea. It's a pick your poison list, which is, if you focus on the Hawks, you're probably going to get eaten alive by Korn, because he's got a lot of maneuverability and can hit really, really hard. If you line him up well, he can get 6 dice or even 8 dice in one turn and just obliterate ships. If you go after Korn, the 2 Hawks are going to ionize you and leave you basically drifting in space. And if you're kind of unfocused and just can't choose one or the other, you tend to just get ground away between all 3 of them. Because I can essentially make Corn Horn by taking an evade and then trading a focus from Kyle Katarn and using Jan ores to turn it into evade. Essentially have a Corn Horn with 2 evade tokens on it. So it can make a strafing run through the middle of your wedge of ships, let's say, and have a really good chance of surviving and coming out the other side. So that's the reason, like, you have to choose. You got to choose one. If you take the Hawks out, then Korn becomes killable at that point. But if you don't do that, and you just kind of go back and forth between them, then I can play around with that evade. I can keep one of my Hawks at all time with an extra evade, which makes them difficult to kill. And with 2 ion cannons, I can ionize big turreted ships, like in a single turn. And essentially the genesis of this was I love the Hawk. The evolution of it came from fighting what were called dash lists, which tended to be dash with very fast zooming around the board with the heavy was it a heavy
laser cannon?
Heavy laser cannon, and then some other random ship. And I've played it with a bunch of different other kind of support ship with it. The beauty of this is Dash makes one pass and he's done. Like, that's it. You get one pass at the ship, so you're ionized, assuming I roll bad, assuming I don't roll bad. You're ionized and you're stuck. That's it. Dash just drifts, and the Hawks can basically swoop into range 1 and just escort you wherever I want you to go.
And so, really, the ion turrets really are a big factor.
Yes, they're a massive factor in it, which is why I always say if you're gonna defeat it, take the Hawks out first, or at least take one. If you take the one that generates the focus, that tends to be the weak point in the whole list, which is what tends to trail behind. The hardest thing,
really ionize a target ship and then Corrin blast the heck out of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. It actually, when I played it in tournaments, the biggest weakness of this list is it is not a high damage output list.
Right.
Because of the ion turrets and Hawks, they can do 1 damage a turn. That's it. Because their main gun's a 1 and the ions can only do 1. So Corrin is the damage output for the list. And in tournaments, against like smaller ships or clusters or even like tie swarms and things, it tends to eat them up because I can ionize 2 ships and Corrin can kill 1 in a turn. And the ones I ran into that were trouble is these are the days of the 2 decimators. You saw people running 2 decimators. I've played in a tournament with this. I've only played in 2 tournaments. And I actually, the decimators became my nemesis, fighting those things because they were big at the time. And I fought a guy with the 2 decimator list who no one had played a list like this. They'd never played against it, which is always fun taking a list like that to people who've never seen it. Even great big tournament lists and the super meta, to me, it's fun as a casual player to take a list that I'm really skilled with and see what it does. Because I took it against the 2 decimator guy and in 4 turns walked 1 decimator off the board. And he's like, what just happened? I said, you didn't choose a target. And I just walked 1 guy, because it only takes 3 turns with a big base ship if you're flying full tilt across the map. And then spent the rest of the hour chasing his other decimator, slowly nibbling away at it. And I ended up losing that match, quote unquote, because we ran out of time. And
right. And
that's
and
the
I find
tough part.
When you've got odd lists that people aren't used to because they only practice against the meta, that sometimes these lists really just kind of can cream them, and just because they had no idea how to fly against it. And they're like, oh, what do I do?
Right.
And boom.
Yeah. And the thing the thing that was fun about this, and I haven't really run it in a long time, but the thing that's fun about it is because I'm so used to the Hawks, and I still say it to this day, I can guess range 2 because of the ion cannons, almost blindfolded. I just got so used to that being my range in games. And the other thing I tell people is stress is not an issue, like not with this list if you've planned ahead, because you can pass focuses around. So your Hawks, if you've planned ahead, always have a focus every turn, even with stress. You can push the Hawks to red maneuvers and pull back only when you need to, and that gives you kind of an escape button that no one expects. It's like, oh, no one ever takes a red maneuver and then follow it with a really big white maneuver. They always go for green to get rid of that stress, and it's like, I don't need to. I've got 10 focuses trailing behind this, behind 1 Hawk that I can just pass out if I need it. And
and that
tends
kind
to
of gets
spook people.
That kind of gets to an idea that I've seen, that basically if you fly the same list, that even if it's not a meta list, but you fly the same list enough against different opponents, you learn how your list can work against these other common lists. And that's actually important. And I think that not enough people actually try that out. They're so caught up in like, well, I tried it once or twice and it didn't work, so I gave up on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you've got a list or even just a ship that you love, like, stick to it. Keep playing it. And I do want to try the Hawks on the Scum side, because obviously the Scum would be my favorite faction, if I just need to get more experience flying the Scum Hawks, and I think that might end up reverting or converting me over to that side. But yeah, if you have a ship you love, play the heck out of it. Learn like all the ins and outs of it. Learn how to fly it in ways that people aren't expecting, and you'll end up doing a lot better than the meta says or that your combination of cards says. You'll surprise people with it.
Excellent. Cool. Hawk the Slayer. I love it. Didn't you also at some point have Hawks with stealth device?
Yeah, that was a fun. Everybody's used to me running the same list. Sort of. I'm just going to throw a mixed one up there one day, and people don't realize Hawks have 2 agility. So giving them a third one and all the other annoying things they can do actually makes them really scary, because now they've got a good shot at really picking away at you, and you're just constantly fighting to try and hit them, especially with this same list of passing out.
Yeah, because like Jan Ors, you can get recon specialists. You can basically give focus and an evade and stealth. So there you are with 3 dice, evade, focus. And it's actually not as insane as it first sounds.
Yep, and I know the first time I set it on the table, people looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And then 20 minutes later, like, "Holy crap, I can't kill that stupid thing!" And it's like, well, yeah, that's the whole point. It's just to be annoying with this Hawk, and it was funny to see the look on people's faces as I cannot kill that Hawk, and it would just be the only thing on the board because they'd obliterated everything else, and it would just be one Hawk slowly going around plinking away at their ships.
Glorious.
Excellent.
Yeah,
all right,
sounds like a fun list.
I like to take things people say are terrible and try to make them work. And one of those things, I think, what is commonly acknowledged as now the worst ship in the game is the Seek, which I will say it's not a sick or skick, it's a Seek, which is what a number of people have stated, from FFG and such, is the appropriate way, Seek. So I'm just going to say that right now. But I don't think they're that terrible. I think they're maybe a point overcosted, but they're very similar to a TIE fighter. They have a shield instead of a hull. They can target lock, which is actually quite effective. The problem I find with the Seek is that people want to just like overload it and put heavy laser cannon or mangler or whatnot. And I think if you dump too much on it, it dies like an Academy pilot. And Academy pilots can actually be survivable, but they can also roll bad and die. And a particular list that I saw deals with an upgrade card that came out the last wave, Utani Mind Link, which basically says, when you have multiple people with that EPT, elite pilot talent, whenever any of them gets a focus, they all get a focus. Whenever any of them gets a stress, they all get a stress. So the idea is to have 3 Tanari Point veterans, which is the generic PS5 Seek pilot, with the title Heavy Seek, Mangler Cannon, and Utani Mind Link, and then throw on Sorisu with Utani Mind Link and Mangler Cannon. So Sorisu is the high PS8 named one that basically says anybody in range 1, they get to re-roll one of their green dice. So what you have is a Seek, which is a 3 agility, so 3 green dice. One of them target locks, they all get the target lock. The rest of them, let's say they evade.
Oh, focus, right?
Or, I'm sorry, they get a focus. So one of them gets a focus, they all get a focus. And let's say the rest of them evade. So basically you've got 4 of these guys that are out there that have 3 green dice, they have a focus, they have an evade, and they can re-roll one of their green dice.
Yeah, I could see that working.
And they've got Mangler cannons for their shots, which turns one hit into a critical. And let's say maybe somebody doesn't have a particular shot on them, they can actually take a target lock instead of the instead of the evade, and they can actually be more offensive or operational offensively.
Yeah, I mean, Mind Link is tricky to work quite right. If for no other reason than, you can never program more than one red maneuver between all your Mind Link guys, because you'll end up with a red maneuver on a stressed ship.
Right. That is something that's tricky to do. But if you also look at the dial, it's one of the few ships that has a 1 bank and a 1 sharp turn.
Yeah. It only the K turns are red. There's a good amount of green on the dial.
Like the dial, a lot of people have complained about the dial, and that's primarily because they want a stick heavy laser cannon and they want to have a 1 forward so they can slow roll and blast with a heavy laser cannon. And oh my gosh, if you don't have the heavy laser cannon and 1 forward, it's a useless ship. And basically it's like, are you kidding me? It can't do a 1 straight, but 2 and 3 straight are green, and 1 and 2 banks are green, and it can do a 1 hard turn or 2 hard turn. And it's one of the few ships that can be like a little knife fighter and stuff, and a Mangler cannon can be range 1 to 3. And you do have to be tricky that only 1 can K turn, because if you have a second, it's already stressed from the other one giving the stress, and then it can't do that, and your opponent picks the maneuver.
Right.
So you've got to be picky, but you've got to be careful, I should say. But overall, I think the dial is not a bad dial, and it's got enough options and survivability that it's pretty surprising. If you can get it in evade and a focus on a TIE fighter, it's pretty survivable.
That's true. It's a token stack akin to Sinterfell, and the rerollable green dice is also quite very good. I would say that one of the greatest strengths of that list is probably how much people will underestimate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you set up against four Seeks, you're gonna think easy match.
Right.
And that might come back to bite people.
And I think it's one you'd probably have to really try and practice with to kind of get it good. Someone took it to a tournament and did like half wins with it, but half wins, and I just think it's one of these B lists that could be fun, and use one of these ships that people say are terrible, and just kind of find them and make it work. And maybe it's not going to win worlds, but.
And you feel a lot better about a win with this list than a win with one of those top tier lists.
Right, like I downloaded this net list and I kicked your butt with it. Ha ha.
Yeah. Download this B team instead.
Yeah, B teams are more fun anyway.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think that should do it for the B list. Hopefully it was not too terribly long, but just kind of wanted to throw that. I read that one and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, it's looks like another fun list.
Cool. All right, so maybe we should leave the cockpit and head to the ready room.
All right, let's go to the ready room, guys.
Stand by alert. Stand by alert. Death Star approach. Estimated time to firing range 15 minutes. Yahoo! Got him! I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky! Chewie, get us out of here!
Okay. All right. I'm glad everybody got their notes. Everyone's in their assigned seats. Excellent. So let's review Mission 1. So, this has got an official name to it, too, but I can't
Political
recall.
Escort.
Political Escort. Excellent. So it's set up, and I think in the actual rules it says any of these 3 missions that come in the starter set can be played 100 points. Just change a few things. But, it starts off with 2 named TIE fighters and, 1 X-Wing. That's
right.
Pretty dull. But giving it 100 points is basically, the story is a senator has been, deemed a traitor, and his shuttle's been attacked and damaged, but they've been able to fend off. And so basically the rebels have linked up with this guy and are trying to protect him against one last kind of counterattack before he gets away. And this is it. So the Senator's shuttle is like one of these little cardboard tokens that come in the game. Those little cardboard tokens that you never use, that you stick in a bag or somewhere and you shove them off? Well, bust it out and use it. It's got 6 hull and 6 shield. It can move either 2 straight or 1 bank every round. It goes at 0. It goes first before everything. And it starts on the Rebel side of the board with Rebel ships, 100 points, against 100 points of Imperial. And you can go again. And we've actually tried. I did 100 points of Scum as the attacker, kind of through the story in that they bribed the guy and he didn't vote the way the crime bosses wanted to, and the scum was getting revenge.
Right. So it's an assassination. That's essentially what the mission is. It's an escort mission.
Right, and you can toss around whichever way you want. To be honest, like swap the sides.
I kind of like the rebels, like a dark, rebel faction. Like a more ruthless rebel faction assassinating an imperial senator.
Yeah, definitely.
Like terrorists, they are.
Or a moth or something.
That's perfect propaganda for my Imperials.
Exactly.
Damn terrorists. Cool. So I know I played this game a lot, I'd say, in the past 2 to 3 weeks. I know I played against J-Bot. Have you guys, Jake or Philip?
Yeah, I've played the mission 3 different times with a couple of my friends, my brother. I think I have a pretty good read on the mission.
We should also state that the defending player, if any ship is nearby, can cause an protection action.
Right.
So it can give an evade token to the shuttle as its action.
Yeah, so there's the protect action special rule. And then there's also Imperial Reinforcement special rule. So if any Imperial ship is destroyed, then you can deploy an Academy pilot on the Imperial board edge. And of course, the objective is to destroy the Rebel shuttle before it flies off the Imperial board edge.
Right. When I played Scum, I just was going to generic Z95.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure.
12 points.
Substitute your faction's generic 12-point fighter as required. But yeah, so I played it 3 times. Two times playing with all the teeth out, hard, sort of a hard edge competitive style. Trying using all the tricks available and the best builds that I could come up with to both protect and attack the shuttle. And it was able to win as the defenders and the attackers.
Ah, okay.
My feeling was that it's a little harder to win as the defenders. I think that my game largely boiled down to a choice that my opponent made. So what happened was my opponent was flying a TIE Rage Swarm. So this is several TIE fighters flying in formation with Youngster, which is a unique TIE fighter that you get in the Gozanti expansion pack.
Gozanti, by the way. If you watch Star Wars Rebels, it's Gozanti.
Gozanti, okay. And Youngster has the Rage Elite Pilot talent, which is, I think we talked about before, but it's an action. You get 2 stress tokens and a focus token, and you can reroll up to 3 attack dice. And Youngster's special ability is that TIE fighters within range 1 to 3 can use his elite pilot talent ability. Any action header on that they can use. So everybody in the TIE Swarm has Rage. And there's I think my friend had at least 6, maybe 7 TIEs. So the idea was that he would just, charge in with the TIEs, get in range 2 or range 1 of the shuttle, and just blast it with all these TIE fighters and just overload it with damage and destroy it. My list was 2 green squadron A-wings with adaptability and push limit, I think, and Sabine Wren with, I think, maybe an auto blaster turret, and maybe also an offensive ability. I think she had Predator on her.
Yeah, she can actually get a free booster barrel roll and probably get around and use that auto blaster turret pretty well.
Yeah. And then last ship was Horton Psalm, Doesn't see a whole lot of play, but his ability is that range 2 to 3 when attacking, he can reroll his blank dice, so he can be pretty accurate at range 2 to 3. And I gave him an ion torpedo and extra munitions and guidance chip.
Ion torpedo rocks.
Exactly, and it just turned out to be a really, really good fit for my enemies list because he was flying in a tight formation. So what happened was I tried to make a break for the right side of the table with the shuttle, and aiming. And I was planning to sort of attack his TIE swarm from the side and ionize it, and try to dodge the killing blow with the shuttle and get around it. And I think that it wouldn't quite have worked if my opponent hadn't turned his TIE swarm towards my escort ships. Because he sort of veered away from the shuttle because he thought that killing the shuttle would be too easy, and he wanted to kill some of my ships to make me feel bad, I guess. And he did kill Sabine in the first round, and I wasn't able to. I think I did 1 damage on his TIE fighters, and Horton Salm was out of range with his ion torpedoes, so I was in a really bad spot right there. But then I was able to block him with the A-Wings and hit him with ion torpedoes, and he ended up spending about 3 turns in a traffic jam while the shuttle was skirting around the edges and making a break for his table edge. And I was able to get off the table edge with only a couple of shields off the shuttle eventually, mainly by controlling his swarm with torpedoes and forcing him to fly away from the shuttle for a couple turns.
I played a number of games with the same list against different opponents, and I used my TIE Punisher for the first time. I'm a big TIE Bomber man, and I had not done the TIE Punisher, and so I've read enough about it. It seemed interesting, so I actually busted him out. I took a generic, but I gave him I think it was a concussion missile and ion torpedo. And ion torpedo. At one point, I screwed myself because just ionizing myself and bumping and not being able to turn around and just all that craziness hurt me. But another time against J-Bot, I hit that shuttle and it won me the game. Because he went.
It was literally he blew it up where the very next turn it went off the board. I take pride in the fact that he basically rolled 2 evade on or more. On every defensive roll.
Games.
Yeah.
And my dice were strong. No matter what he rolled.
Didn't matter what I rolled. He basically evaded almost everything. But I actually took, because I was in a hurry, I actually took the B team list I mentioned earlier stock in that straight against his. And it actually worked because everything he was using was small base ships. And the whole idea was essentially let him fly at me. I ionize him and then jump him. Once I get past him with the shuttle, he's got to get back through essentially the ion, cloud that these things put out, and he can't catch back up. But
ion is really powerful.
Right. Control is key in this scenario because even if you destroy the defending ships, they get those reinforcements and they come in a great position to attack the shuttle.
Right, and when I played the Imperial side, I think I played this 3 times. The first one, it was just kind of a half-butted, just to not curse, version of a list. But when I played the Imperial side, I took the whole control idea, I guess, in my mind was, well, the shuttle can jump anything. If it bumps you, because you can go too forward, it can just jump past whatever bumps in front of it.
Well,
so I said, I'm going to take a fire spray.
Right.
And basically wherever he goes, I'm going to have this thing nosed up in front of it so he can't so he can't jump it. And it ended up working because he clogged right in front of it and it got picked apart by all the other ships that came in.
The round that killed the fire spray was the round that the shuttle blew.
Right, yeah. So and that was the idea, just block that and the fire spray can shoot at anything else.
Right, and you can permanently block that shuttle because its maneuvers are so limited. If
Yeah.
you just put a large base ship in front of it, it can't go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Though I will say the Ion was pretty cool because when I flew the Scum list, I just wanted to take the Mist Hunter because I'd never flown it with a new wave, and I wanted to try it out. And I actually forgot I had the cloaking device and all that. But what I also threw on was a heavy Seek with an ion cannon, which is not that expensive and a really good control ship. And I think was against one of my local guys, Blake, who's a great guy. And he actually just came back from missing the scene for Crazy Life. But he had like 2 Z95s that were just kind of cruising and giving it evade every time. And, and a few other things. One of the things he used was the K-Wing, not Miranda, but the one no one uses, a Sege
Tuteku, I think.
Yeah, which basically means, any another ship can use one of your focuses, one of your friendly ones. So he did a recon specialist, and then could siphon off the focus tokens for whenever he needed it, and it was really effective. But like my Seek went in, I kind of went in, and I had some like Z95s, a Seek, Mist Hunter. I think I might have had a Carax, and I tagged one of the Z95s, and it went brrr and slowed down, and the shuttle went 2, and he was out of range 1. And he couldn't do his action, and then things started to fall apart with that. And just even like a little thing like that. And yes, hitting the shuttle is good because you can slow it down, but hitting the support was actually more important, because I even put tractor beam on the Mist Hunter because I thought, I could barrel roll the shuttle backwards. But he had so much defense wrapped into it, which I thought that was a cool idea, a cool concept. But he had so much defense wrapped around it that I couldn't, and that was another one that came really close to the board edge, but I was able to blow it up finally.
Yeah, I think that overall the attacker has a clear advantage in this mission.
I played at least half a dozen games, at least, and the Rebels never won. Now,
the Rebels definitely have kind of the short end on this one. My opinion was that the respawn of the Imperial ships, it basically comes off your board edge. I think, and this is just me guessing here, if you made it so the spawn came from either side but not directly in front of the shuttle, it might at least even that up a little bit, because you could essentially fly that Academy pilot straight in front of the shuttle
and block it.
Just so, it's dead again. Let me just run another one straight up the gut and block it again, versus it's got to come in from the sides and
I might have used
actually
that
get
tactic.
there. Yes, but I really do like this mission. The more we played it, the more we looked at it, because it's a very simple concept of just get this ship across the map.
Yeah,
and it allows for so many different ideas. I mean, I think that Blake match, he just said, I'm going pure defense. I'm not going to try and shoot your ships out of the sky if I don't have to. I'm just going to try and walk this guy across with as many foci, whatever, and evades and everything I can get on it. And any of your ships I kill is a bonus. And he did pretty well with just that attitude.
He came within like one turn of getting off the board, and I finally killed it. And the only ship destroyed was the shuttle at the end of it.
I played one of the other games that I played when I was playing sort of hardcore was I took 4 TIE bombers with homing missiles and expanded extra munitions and long range sensors, and that completely bypasses the protect action, because the protect action assigns evade tokens, and homing missiles don't allow you to spend evade tokens when you're defending.
Which, we talked about that, like Jonathan and Blake and I, is that basically you can take all these different strategies, and it's like, well, I'm going to be, one of those guys, and I'm going to min-max. I'm going to have 7 Z95s flying around the shuttle, and you're never going to get an evade through. Boom, take homing missile, and all those evade tokens are utterly useless.
Yeah, I smoked the shuttle in one turn with 4 missiles.
It's like, if you... The replay value of the mission is really high, because no matter what you take, someone can counter it, whether it's offense or defense. And that there's so many different options to kind of roll with that it just it's pretty cool. Like I admit I did once as defender for the rebels, and I took like Y-wings with like Connor nets, and I had never used Connor nets before, so I really wanted to use Connor nets, and I ended up like ionizing my own ship because like, I dropped it. I was like, I'll do a 3-bank, and like, oh crap, I just totally blocked my Z95, but it did come in handy at certain points, and I was able to even drop it on certain ships, and there's a lot of variety, like ion torpedoes. To be able to go and just shut down like a whole section of ships,
right,
and zip past. Like there's a lot of ways to win the game, and it's so cool. Like, the replay value, and even if you get some guy who's just one of those people that's annoying as heck and does whatever they can to kind of just spank you hard, you can like come up with a counter list and kind of even the escalation war back and forth between like, oh, I'm going to counter your counter, and like, you know, it just gets ridiculous, and you could really kind of do a lot with it.
Although I do feel that the attacker has the advantage in that situation, because the attacker he doesn't necessarily need to counter the defender's tactics. He just has to have a good tactic to kill the shuttle, right? So that could be a TIE swarm, that could be 4 TIE bombers with homing missiles, that could be block the shuttle with a large base ship and then kill it. And then defender has to have the right counter, or they're in really bad shape. And even if they do have the right counter, sometimes it's really hard.
I think it's a little bit of both, because let's say if someone goes Z95 swarm, you know, constantly giving evades, you know, your even crack swarm's not gonna, which is a black squadron
really
crack shot, you know, right? And so I think there's still a bit. It's not so much on the onus of the defender, but I think I think it's good. And I think at one point, you know, I took a bunch of generics and played against, you know, J-Bow with a bunch of generics, and we just. It was cool to not, you know, not to be all right. Yeah, like Bicycle 3 was like the bounty hunter, the Imperial bounty hunter.
That was my fire spray, the 3. Like he's the home. Everybody else was stock, the lowest thing we could afford.
1 or 2, and it was pretty cool. It was a fun mission because we could get like a bunch of ships, you know, all generics, all doing stuff, and that was really cool.
And there's absolutely no, you know, defined metagame for this mission. Also,
well, okay, and see, that's what I think is cool, is the meta means about something, and metagame means the game of the game. And while yes, metagame and X-Wing basically means the most popular topper lists that win tournaments and net lists and get you see a lot. But basically, metagaming for this mission is the game of the game. And so if you've played with like a number of like a closed loop of people, like what you find wins and your strategies is actually the game. Like you find someone gets the Z swarm, you do the homing missiles. That's the metagame of your version of that game. And I think that there is a lot of meta you can do with this scenario, and there's a lot of replay, and that this scenario I loved it. I have people tell me it's their favorite scenario. It's just there's so much you can get into about the mission that just, you know, makes it really fun. Even if you know, let's say these tournament players out there who are listening, because I know there's a few. They want to try it, but they want to go for their freaking nastiest list. And they want like min-max. And they get your defender who gets the cheesiest, nastiest combo, and like go for it. And it's still fun. You know, it's still a good time.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth playing. I mean, I know it came in the original box. I know it's mission 1 and it seems old and dusty, but I think it's a good mission. I think it's worth doing. It's definitely a change of pace for people who are just used to death matches, because in almost every game we played, there was very few ships, 1 or 2, that actually got destroyed, because the focus in this mission is not on destroying each other. It's just on that one shuttle, and what do you do to kill it or to keep it alive, and that's just a different dynamic than everything else, and I really liked it.
And even new upgrades add new spins, like Tractor beam, you could, let's say there's bigs. You've got freaking bigs around the shuttle. You know, I've seen enough of bigs in these missions. You know, boop him tractor beam, because you're going to hit him. And, barrel roll him out of range 1 of the shuttle. The rest of your list can open up fire. Or even boop, barrel roll the shuttle back. So it went 2 forward, barrel roll it backwards a bit. It's a big base. You can actually get range 1 back again. So it just went 1 forward is all. Or any of these other support ships, boop, out of range 1, they can no longer do their little support thing.
Yeah. I think that I would definitely take another look at it as like a developer. My specialty is writing missions, right? And
Grand Poobah.
Yeah, exactly. Grand Poobah mission control. So I'd say that my take on this mission is that attackers have an advantage, and defenders probably should have something. I think that at least they should be able to deploy the shuttle in a different spot than the exact center of their table edge, which is how it works in the mission. You have to deploy the shuttle at range 2 of your table edge, and in the exact center of that zone, facing the enemy table edge directly, right? So it's completely defined. There's no wiggle room for your deployment there, and I think that's unnecessary and limits your options as a defender and gives the attacker a bit of an advantage.
I can see the idea of putting the shuttle in the middle, because the whole point is no asteroids or anything. The whole point is like you find these guys, you ambush them. But I do think there might be some maybe with the reinforcements. If you remove the reinforcements, then the defender gets alpha strike and it can cripple you, and you're kind of done. But I like the idea of reinforcements coming off the side of the board edge. That to me sounds really cool, because there's none of that blocking thing that happens. Because I did it, and it was pretty cheesy.
Yeah. So that's one change that I would look at. I would also look at, instead of making the shuttle 6 hulls, 6 shields at 100 points, instead of that, having 2 shuttles on the board, and only requiring 1 to escape over the enemy table edge to win, and both of them would just have 6 hull, which is what the shuttle has in the basic version of the mission, where you only have
without the shield. Yeah.
I think that it's still the same amount of hull that you need to kill, but it adds another layer because you have to chase down 2 of these things, so that makes it a lot harder to block it. It forces you to sort of hedge your bets in terms of like what you think your ships can do, and it gives the defender some options in terms of like maybe concentrating on defending just 1 shuttle. So that might be something I would look at. It's possible that would give the defender too much of an advantage. Maybe they could just concentrate on defending only 1 of those with all their ships, for example, and just protect it with 8 Z95s or something.
It'd be cool. You have the Imperials as defenders, and this is their troop transport. They've got the stormtroopers that are going on planet or on the space station. The rebels have to blow up the troop transports, to kill the TIE fighters. That would be kind of cool. And I've even seen on Star Wars Rebels, they have something that looks like a Lambda, but it's slightly different. And I had to Wikipedia it. And, basically it's a Sentinel shuttle, which the Lambda is like the diplomat, officer, high end. But like the Sentinel is like your troop transport, more armor, less nicety, cram it as many stormtroopers as you can. And maybe do something with like Lambda, or using Lambda shuttles, Omicron pilots, instead of the rest, and see how that goes. I don't know. It might be neat.
Yeah. And one other thing, tweak that I was thinking about for the mission, because I have so many, is I would actually go back and change the protect action to work more like draw their fire. The elite pilot talent, draw their fire. So if you have a ship flying next to the shuttle and someone attacks the shuttle, then you can cancel one of the hits on the shuttle and have your ship next to it suffer 1 damage. I think that's a little cooler, and it sort of helps you get around the homing missile problem, for example. Because, that'll still work against homing missiles.
Though seriously, if you want someone to, if you want to stop people from doing that, you just start using assault missiles and hitting the support ships, and bam, everything starts blowing to pieces. Yeah. That's what I love about this mission. That, someone takes something, really beardy or cheesy or whatever, and you can just find an extra beardy, cheesy way to kill it. All right, so Jake and Jonathan, you guys are kind of quiet. And so
we're absorbing it all.
That's right. It's all these masters at work here. We just sit back and
Or if we're just getting too far into it.
No. You guys are good.
Cool. I really enjoyed this mission. Like, I played it like multiple weeks. I really actually liked different opponents and different things to try. It was a lot of fun. Like, I really enjoyed this one.
No, yeah, it's not a bad mission. Escort missions are really hard to design, and to make them fun and balanced, because it's a hard dynamic to work with, because you have to worry about how much damage the attackers can do, how much damage the defenders can prevent. It's not always the easiest type of mission to make.
Yeah. It seems escort missions in pretty much every form that they're offered, whether it's a video game or even this, tend to be headaches for people one way or the other. I mean, at least the shuttle isn't purposefully flying towards enemy bad guys. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, it is. Seems to be the problem in most video games I play, is shiny, and they wander off to go fight something that you're just trying to get them away from, sort of thing. But,
it'd be nice if the shuttle had more movement options too.
Yeah, that it may, even if it's just twos all the way across, can just do 2 maneuvers.
And then set up diagonally instead of standard deployment. So you start off in one corner and you have to escape off the opposite corner. So that way you could make the shuttle a little faster, but still give the other team enough time to shoot it down.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's pretty much a consensus. It's a good mission. Phil would like to change a few things, but he'd probably like to change a few things about most missions.
True.
Right.
And Jim just likes beating everybody's current favorite way of. I finally won one, and Jim's going to just figure out a way to beat it. That's what sounds like.
Yeah, I am competitive. I'll tell you. You play me in Candyland, and man, I'm going to be vicious. Which is it's hysterical. Candyland's like the most random, non-strategic game, but I'm sure going to try to find a way. Cool. So I think that might wrap up. I know I won't be able to game next Thursday, but I'll be able to talk about stuff. Do you think we might be doing Dagobah Dave's Trench Run or something else next week?
I think we'll do it either next week or the week after. I definitely want to take a look at it before. And put it on the table, because I've never actually played that, but I think it's going up.
It's good. It's good. I played it tonight. We had a bunch of people play it tonight. I got out I used a work printer and printed out Death Star sheets. So I got like a 8x6 table worth, and we were able to use the old Warhammer 3. Basically you've got the old Warhammer 6x4 table.
Right.
The foam, and it folds up into thirds, and basically use those thirds and stack them up and actually make a trench. And I printed out paper turrets. I found it online for free and folded them up and made paper turrets. And
nice.
Oh yeah, so it was all pretty cool.
So what he's saying is Jake is always busy at work, and Jim is also always busy at work. But he's doing a completely different job.
I get on conference calls a lot. Sometimes I'm needed, and sometimes I'm not.
That's okay, Jim. I completely understand, because I spend my time at work writing novels. So it's just a little more easy for mine to be sent as an email, and everybody just thinks I'm writing very long emails versus printing stuff out and cutting and using glue sticks and glitter and stuff at my desk.
Actually, no one on my team actually is in the same building as me, or I don't even know if they're in the same city as me, to be honest. So mega corporations, that's the way it happens.
Yeah, your coworkers must wonder what the heck you do then sometimes, like just wandering by your cubicle, like seeing all the arts and crafts that are spread out everywhere.
Death Star turbo lasers on his desk.
By the way,
what is it you do here again?
We talked about me doing like a craft section or an El Cheapo section or something along those lines, because I like to be a bit creative and crafty, and I like to not spend money on things. And I'll even throw out one right now, an easy one. So I am terrible at knocking my ships and nudging them and moving them, and they slide around, and some mats are stickier than others, and some people have spent buku bucks to get magnetic tables and all sorts of crazy things. But I found somewhere on the interwebs, and I cannot take credit, but I can't remember who to actually give credit to. In your kitchen, you've got your cabinets, and when they close, they just go dunk, dunk, dunk. Because if you open up and look, there's these little rubber, like, buttons or knobs or nubs that are stuck there, and they're kitchen cabinet bumpers that keep your kitchen cabinet doors from slamming. And if maybe you live in a house that has them slammed, you should also maybe go look at these and buy them for your cabinet doors and make your wife happy. But anyways, you can get these things. A lot of them, they are the perfect size to put under your base of your X-Wing ship. And I usually put one in each corner, and it makes it really hard to knock. And you can even play like on a glass tabletop at home, and it makes it really hard to nudge these little suckers. And, I'm so bad, I still find ways. And people call me, they like to laugh and call
Bad,
me
he
Peter.
says.
Yeah, because they'll say, oh, yeah, nudge it, now he's in range, or oh, now he's in firing arc after you hit him a couple times. But like, I'm so bad that I had to put these things on. And even just tonight, someone was borrowing some of my ships for the trench run, and like, I can't move it, I can't nudge it, what's going on? Like, I was just trying to slide it along. And that is my Jim's hobby tip for the month. But You have a hard time moving these suckers, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on magnetic tables. Yeah. And these work. You can put them on the bottoms. They can go to your tournaments, go to your home, using anywhere you want, and they freaking don't move. And I love it. You can play it on the kitchen floor, and it works.
Cool.
So,
yeah, they actually do. They're pretty good. I've seen them in action.
Well, that's high praise from Jonathan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen him in action too. Before he had these and washers and everything else, he's got strapped to the base of these things to keep them from moving.
Right.
These things, it looked like one of those Coleco football sets when you tried to play them. These things were all over the table. But now they're at least mostly where they used to be whenever he's done moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm bad. I can't help it. Like, when I went to tournaments, I'd be like, look, I'm terrible. I tell people I'm terrible. I am not trying to cheat. If you feel like I nudge anything in a way to give me an advantage, please just point it out and move it to where you think it is, because I desperately need help. I'm so bad. Please do not judge me or think I'm cheating, because I hate cheating, because these are games. They're games. They're meant to be fun. And while I like to win, I like to win honestly. Cheating is just stupid.
True.
Yes, I agree.
All right, and on that note, I know it's late. We're coming up to our destination here, to the Moon of Endor. We've just gotten clearance from Imperial Control. We'll be able to land you guys, and you can do whatever fun little mission, shopping, blowing up shield generators.
It's a pleasant 22 degrees Celsius on the surface of Endor, with a slight chance of Death Star fragments.
Very good.
Excellent. A bit of Sith problems, but watch out for the locals. Don't pet them; they'll tend to bite.
They may eat you.
Right.
Yeah, or at least throw rocks at you, which are very dangerous. More than you would have ever
armor
believed.
like nobody's business.
More than you would have ever imagined.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Shuttle Tydirum, the mothership of casual X-Wing.